Hello, hello, hello.
Hello and welcome to our
Podcast.
podcast. Good day to our listeners out there who are listening to us right now. Have a good day, and good day.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy listening.
Okay, so to my partner, good day, Teacher May.
Same to you, Teacher Trish. To our listener, welcome to another day, another learning.
Okay, so we are here now for another topic. And now, let us talk about the
Assessing pupils' learning. Okay, but before that, let us define first what is assessment.
Okay, so as we all know, assessment is a word that we always hear in our schools and also in workplace. Right, Teacher May?
Yes, Teacher Trish, you are correct.
Okay, so an assessment is an evaluation, and one type of assessment is used to measure what someone knows and learn. Teacher May, I know you have an idea what is an assessment since we encountered assessment along our journey as a student before. So for you, what is assessment?
For me, this is a simple word that defines assessment. So assessment is all about learning and development of the student in their learning. And according to Harris and Hodges, 1995, assessment is the process of gathering data to better understand the strength and weakness of student learning.
Wow, so assessment is a very broad name. Imagine we have a lot of author who define what assessment is, Teacher May?
Yes, you're right, Teacher Trish. And did you know that assessment is came from the Latin word assedere, which means to sit beside another.
What? Accessory like accessory. Joke.
You're so funny, Teacher Trish.
Okay, so much for that, Teacher May. Okay, to sum up everything, assessment is the process of gathering evidence of what a learner knows, what the learners understand, and what the learners able to do. Okay, now let us discuss the three major purposes of assessment.
Okay, so the three major purposes of assessment are first, assessment of learning, second, assessment for learning, and the third one is the assessment as learning. So let us dig deeper each in order for us to understand more about assessment.
Okay, so the first purpose is assessment of learning. So it measures what and how well the student have learned at the end of instruction or curriculum. It determines whether the learning goals and outcomes have been achieved.
So an example of it is the final performance task, long exam. So it should be given after the end of the instruction or the curriculum.
Yeah, that's right, Teacher May. Okay, so as a teacher, we all know that assessment of learning happen after delivering the instruction or the curriculum. And yes, it is summative in nature. Summative assessment serve the purpose of assessment of learning.
So Teacher Trish, let us move on to our second purpose of assessment. The second purpose of assessment is the assessment for learning. So when we say assessment for learning, it is an ongoing process that monitors students' learning in order to help teachers improve their teaching and the students to improve their learning. So it is used to determine the teaching steps and learning step to continuously improve teaching learning process of the students and the learners.
Okay, so an example of that is concept maps, checklists, and monitoring reports. So it is formative in nature. Okay, so when we say assessment for learning, it happened during the delivering of instruction. Am I right, Teacher May?
Yes, you are right, Teacher Trish. So, when we say assessment for learning, it is during the discussion, like the students report, and then you will ask student question. That is an example of assessment for learning. And another is when you discuss to the learners, you ask them a question. That is another example of assessment for learning.
Okay, so as a teacher, when we deliver our lessons to our learners, we ask them questions, right? Diba, teacher?
Yes, Teacher Trish.
Yes, so when we ask them questions about our lessons and they answered to us, that is when assessment for learning happens. So we assess them for their learning.
Okay, the next purpose is the assessment as learning. So, it is an ongoing process that can help students reflect, monitor their own learning. So, it is also help the learners to become self-regulated, independent, and successful in learning.
And also, Teacher May, it is formative in nature, the same as learning for assessment. Wow, for how many years I didn't know na katong mga assessment sa una sa kita pa estudyante kay ano na dito siya no? Of assessment for, assessment as na di ay to. So abi kog assessment ratanan. Diba, Teacher May, yun sa man imong kaingon ana.
Yeah, me too. Naaman day purpose ang assessment, no? Kaabi ko og during ra, naaman di ay poy siya after ug naa di ay poy para sa ato ang self. Hahaha, so much for that.
So let us move on to the types of assessment. So there are 4 types of assessment we have to discuss. These are the diagnostic, formative, summative, and portfolio assessment. Okay, so now let us move on to another topic, which is the 4 types of assessment. So there are 4 types of assessment we have to discuss. So these are the diagnostic, formative, summative, and portfolio assessment.
Okay, we only include the 4 types of assessment since there are so many types of assessment and we cannot cater them all.
Yes, that's right, teacher. Okay, Teacher May. So now let us discuss first the type of assessment, which is the diagnostic assessment.
So, a diagnostic assessment, it refers to an assignment written at the beginning and end of a course. So, this assessment allow the instructor to adjust the curriculum to meet the needs of the current and the future students.
Okay, so an example of that is pretest. So as a teacher, we give pretest to our learners before we deliver another topic.
Yes. So, the purpose of diagnostic assessment is to measure the student's strength and weaknesses. So, this assessment is aimed to answer the question, what do the students already know about a specific topic?
So, Teacher May, maghatag pud ba ka og pretest before ka mo deliver og instruction?
Yes, Teacher Trish, so that I can identify the strength and the weaknesses of my students for me that I can assess them or help on to know on how to help them.
Wow, that's a spirit of a teacher. Okay, now let's move on to the second type of assessment, which is the formative assessment. So the goal of formative assessment is to monitor student learning to provide ongoing feedback that can be used by instructors to improve their teaching and by the students to improve their learning.
So, the formative assessment, Teacher Trish, is an ongoing process that can provide learners with immediate feedback on how well they are learning. So, the result of this assessment are documented but not included in their grades.
Yes, that's right. So now, are we okay? Are we clear about these two types of assessment?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, now let's move on to the third types of assessment. We have
The summative assessment. Okay, so the goal of the summative assessment, Teacher Trish, is to evaluate the student learning at the end of the instructional unit by comparing it against some standard or benchmark.
so summative assessment used to measure whether learners have met the content and performance standards. So the result of this assessment are used as basis for computing grades.
So there are some example of summative assessment, Teacher Trish. Some of these are the midterm exam, the final project, a paper, and a senior recital.
Okay, so midterm exam, final project. So this assessment, we give this only after we deliver the entire lesson. Right, Teacher May?
Yes, you're right, Teacher Trish. So let us move forward to the last type of assessment. So the last type of assessment is the portfolio-based assessment. So this assessment is a collection of the academic work. For example, assignment, lab result, writing samples, speech, students created films, or art project. So this is compiled by students and assessed by teacher in consistent ways.
Okay, so the purpose of portfolio-based assessment generally drives the way it is designed, and there are many ways in which assessment can be used. Okay, so that's all for the types of assessment. Teacher May, can you recall what are the four types of assessment to our listeners? First, we have.
The diagnostic assessment.
Second, we have.
The summative assessment.
The third one.
The formative assessment.
The last but not the least.
And the portfolio-based assessment.
Okay, so those are the four types of assessment. Okay, so Teacher May, assessment is really a broad term, right?
Yes, Teacher Trish.
So that is why assessment have purposes, assessment have types. But okay, so basically, assessment is our evaluation as a teacher, right, Teacher May? So it is our way on how we evaluate our students if they have achieved the learning outcomes what we want to achieve.
Okay, so overall, Teacher Trish, assessment is how we evaluate our learners on what they learn and what they already learn.
Yes, that's right, Teacher May. So assessment is not just only for students, but also it is for the teacher. So assessment is very helpful to us as a teacher because, as we all know, it is an evaluation to us if our delivery of instruction is effective, and it is what do you call this one, or it is effective enough, or the learners are able to learn from us, from our delivery of instruction, right, Teacher May?
Yes, Teacher Trish.
Yes, so assessment is very helpful to us, both students and teachers. So it is helpful in teaching and learning process.
So to our listeners out there, thank you for listening to us, and I hope that you learned something in our podcast, and see you next time to our podcast.
Thank you, and goodbye.
God bless everyone.
Bye.